What are some dark secrets in the place you work? I guess it's not really that dark or a big secret, just something very few people know about. In the 70s and 80s, most commercial beekeepers in Canada poisoned all or almost all their hives to death every fall. The hives were then replaced by packaged bees in spring from the US, used for the summer and then killed again in fall. This was done just because packages from America were cheaper than the medication and labor involved with overwintering your hives, especially as you can lose anywhere from 5% to 50% of your hives over winter. This doesn't happen anymore as the price of packages now vastly exceed the cost of wintering your hives. Even if it did become economically feasible again, I can't see it happening, as the public outcry would likely be huge if people found out this was happening. Like I said, not really a secret, just something few people remember. I used to work a small company and the secretary was shared among the owners, salesmen and some of the workers. The worst thing is that she acted all high and mighty like they owned the company. And I guess in a way she did. She got preferential treatment and often the owner would pay her bills if she got behind. And rumor is that the owner paid off her car when she threatened to tell his wife. She was always invited to Las Vegas for trade conferences even though she had nothing to do with the trade besides answering phones and making appointments. We all knew what really happened on those trips. We all just pretend to work, even our bosses. I worked in a large bank where they did a massive employee satisfaction survey, but we were told how to answer, specifically, how we'd better answer. I worked at a public school where the principal had multiple affairs with staff, and misappropriated money in order to get himself new technology and gadgets. Ironically, it was the most successful school in the city by any measure. All of the employees, including the regular 9-to-5 office workers, are employed as independent contractors so the owner can get out of paying taxes, benefits, overtime and abiding by family and medical leave regulations. There are also a lot of pay irregularities, and sometimes the owner simply refuses to pay for time that was worked. She pays based on the amount of time that she thinks something should take, not the amount of time it actually takes. I'm pretty sure this is all illegal, but I don't know what to do about it. You can sue the out of her for that. If she's making you file as an IC but treating you like an employer treats an employee and not a contractor is a big no-no. I write software for a large credit union. We don't use any version control, no Git, no SVN, nothing. Don't work there now, but a past story. I worked in the mailroom offices services department of a large health insurance company. We handle shipping and receiving and made sure that all departments had all the working supplies they needed. We got a call from our supervisor saying that one department was going to be archiving a lot of old records, so we needed to supply them with a bunch of boxes. We purchased a shit ton of new banker boxes and emptied out printing paper boxes so they could use those. The next day there was a completely unexpected huge layoff. Myself and the other two guys watched from the windows while lines of people marched out with their possessions in the boxes we'd supplied. I work for a bank. If you've fallen behind on your bills and are wondering why it seems like the bank is doing everything in their power to make life as difficult as possible for you, it's because they are. They know exactly what they're doing, and when you finally get to the point where you say, I've been a solid customer for 20 years but this is unbelievable, I'm closing all my accounts and taking my business elsewhere, you've completed their plan. As soon as you become a hassle for them, they want to get rid of you. I work in the hazmat industry, mainly spill recovery. Holy shit. If you work in industry, you need to look at your company's environmental policies. The company I work for works pretty closely with the EPA and our state environmental management agency, so we do a lot of jobs where other companies screwed up. Lead contamination is stupid high in so many places. I've seen visible mercury literally swept under a rug so that companies don't have to pay for remediation. This will get on you, track throughout, and it will stay on your clothes or shoes for so long. Acid spills where the company wants to save some money, so they wash it off into public freshwater sewers. No, you may not. Intern for a non-profit, and they would intentionally turn clients away who needed help feeding their children if someone had a birthday coming up so they could use the money to go out and party and claim it as a company expense or petty cash. As someone who works for a non-profit, you can't let this go on. Tip off someone, somehow, even if it's anonymously online. Most of the staff is being laid off in 3 months. The company has already started hiring their replacements in India. They'll be told a week before Christmas at the rate management is getting their shit together. I wish I didn't know. I hate keeping secrets and I just want to scream abandon ship at them all. It would be a shame if a memo or email containing the details from one of the higher-ups was accidentally printed to a group printer or 10. Worked in a small hospital. We had a room titled utility closet, which was actually the morgue or body hold. Our was significantly far away from that room, so to transport dead bodies, we'd wheel the gurney down there with piles of laundry covering the body. Yep, that happened. I guess the hospital didn't want to tip people off there was a dead body passing them in the hallway. This is actually kinda common. In some places, the bodies will be put on a gurney with a lower level instead of the regular folding ones and then a sheet on the main part so that it just looks like an empty gurney. But yeah, pretty much every hospital tries to avoid letting people see the bodies. The funeral home will sneak by to pick them up at odd hours. This is bullshit. I want my dead ass paraded through the hospital, possibly with a party hat and sparklers. Not me, but my dental assistant teacher once had to cover for a new dentist. He pulled the wrong tooth on a patient and she told the patient that they missed some decay on the tooth next to it. And since they missed it, it was free. So they pulled 2 teeth and the guy thinks he got a deal. This pisses me off. Before I got braces I had to have 2 teeth pulled. I got to the dentist and he's like, no, it's 4. Young 12-year-old shy me says, are you sure? I thought it was 2. He insists it's 4. Get it done. Go out to my mum waiting and tell her and she starts crying. The worst thing is I was already missing 2 teeth from the bottom and now I'm down 4. It looks like shit to this day, even after the braces. One of the head guys was arrested for child pornography. And no, I'm not talking about Subway. Not exactly a secret, but since a large part of the work involves being with kids without parents around, the company did their best to keep quiet. I used to work at a weld shop that made a lot of stuff for military contracts. Shortcuts were taken at every opportunity which compromised the product. Welds that were supposed to be checked by a certified weld inspector (CWI) were not. Documents were faked. Lots of things went out that door to our military and other government organizations that should not have. On top of all that, there were little to no safety precautions taken there. The owner himself tried to come out into the shop and tell me to weld on a 16-ton frame while it was suspended in the air by a crane with a 10-ton capacity. He wanted me to stand under it and make the welds on the bottom of it. That's just one of many dangerous situations he tried to put me in. One day he told me to do something, and I didn't know any better. Then, an older welder came by and told me to stop because it could kill me. A few seconds after I walked away, a piece of hydraulic equipment I was working with failed and went flying right past where I was previously sitting. I would have died if that old-timer hadn't told me to stop. In construction, always listen to the old-timers. People used to pay the janitor to steal other people's lunches for them. Pay. Why not just buy lunch then? I have sat in the boardroom of a major industrial agency during the planning for a very major project, and watched a lot of faces go pale as the budgeting section for expected loss of life came up. In my experience, the CEOs who talk about safety being number one for their company aren't kidding. They're often very much on board. It's getting the rest of the staff to get it through their skulls and follow suit that can be difficult. Anyway, they budgeted for 3 deaths in the course of the project. When asked why 3, they said that statistically, the man-hours involved said 3 was the conservative estimate, and there was a reserve for up to 6 deaths. Each of those deaths were budgeted to cost the company $1.7 million, factoring in fines, fees, loss of productivity, legal fees, etc. It was a good meeting. It made it very clear to those who value money over human life just how much money a human life costs, and how much worse it can be if there's a major incident. 1 death is bad on the bottom line. But a mass casualty incident, anything more than 3, means a worksite shutdown, which can cost the company easily $20 million or more a day. Believe it or not, the occupational health and safety teeth that the government has is long and sharp. Long and sharp enough to even make massive petroleum companies think very carefully about their priorities. My economics professor used to tell people who complained about setting economic values to human life that if you don't put a cost on it, the cost that will be applied is zero. My manager has had sex with several different people in the freezer of the restaurant where I work. It's not cool to store people in the freezer.